Back to the one and only JDW Sports Talk Show and Hot Take Tuesday. Episode 22 of Season 2 is officially here. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. We got 4 hot takes from our Discord server. First hot take is from Silversabs. Dak Prescott finishes as a bottom... that's actually supposed to say bottom 10 quarterback. All right, we got it fixed. So, Dak Prescott finishing as a bottom 10 quarterback is very unlikely. There's a lot of bad quarterback play in the NFL right now, and Dak Prescott is kind of like in the middle of the road, around there, if that. The issue with Dak Prescott is, he beats up on these good, on these bad teams, and he really inflates his numbers versus those bad teams, and his record versus teams above 500 aren't very good. And then when you see the record versus teams that are just very good, like the Niners, that changes drastically, and he really beats up on the bad teams. But the good teams, it seems like he really does struggle against the good teams, the good defenses mainly. And that's something a top 10 quarterback should have. They should be able to attack those top 10 defenses. You should still be able to get the job done. But Dak Prescott has not been able to do that. He's got the weapons. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He had Amari Cooper in the past. He's always had the weapons. He had Zeke in the backfield with him, a very good offensive line. There's absolutely no reason why he couldn't have been. Now, the coaching situation hasn't always been great. Wasn't a fan of Jason Garrett, and I'm really not a fan of the way McCarthy is calling the game. Not a fan of it whatsoever. But Dak Prescott being a bottom 10 quarterback, I'm gonna go hot on that one because he's still very talented. He's still a good quarterback. He could, run out the pocket. He could run for a couple of yards. He could beat up on those bad teams. Now, when he does play the really good teams, he does usually struggle. And, there's no reason why the Cowboys can't beat or at least keep games close against some of the best teams. They have a very talented football team. One of the most talented football teams in the NFL. Really, they have a lot of talent defense. And, does the loss of Trayvon Diggs really make that much of a difference? It could, but that's not the reason why you lost. You only scored 15 points versus the Niners, and Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions. So versus very good defenses, Dak Prescott just doesn't play very well, doesn't really get it done versus some, really good defenses. He really seems to struggle a bit, and there's no reason not to. He's always had a very good offensive line, great weapons, great offensive line most of the time. And, he also struggles with injuries. He also has some injury issues. But him being a bottom 10 quarterback is a little crazy. There's not a lot of good quarterback play right now. Just to name a few. Desmond Ridder is really bad. Bryce Young isn't playing his greatest ball. Zach Wilson, you could say he's been a little better, but not really. You could go on and on and on. There's quite a few quarterbacks that just don't play at a very high level, or, Dak Prescott plays a lot better than the bottom 10 quarterbacks. He does. Now, you may not like him. He may play bad versus really good defenses, but, he does really beat up bad defenses. And, once in a while, he has a good game against, a decent defense, a good defense, but it's not consistent enough. He's not consistent enough. And I've always defended him. I have always defended him with the interceptions, but there's, we're starting to get a point where, if you're going to throw a lot of interceptions, you better be able to get your team back down that field and score some more points. That hasn't been fully the case. And if you look at the season so far, they beat up on bad teams. And their red zone offense has been horrible. And I don't see why it shouldn't be. You have Tony Pollard, who's a big threat in the run game. Offensive line has been pretty good. You have really good weapons. There's no reason why. You have very talented and athletic, very few tight ends, and I really like Jake Ferguson, Luke Musgrave, Shoemaker. I always mix up the tight ends with the Packers and the Cowboys, and they're both rookies. I believe they have Shoemaker. So they have talented tight ends. They have talented weapons. So I don't see why Dak Prescott couldn't be much or playing much better than he is, or this offense is doing much better. I don't think it's all Dak Prescott. I think some of it and quite a bit of it has to do with coaching. Not a fan of the coaching. Mike McCarthy was a pretty good coach 15 years ago. Now, game has evolved and he has failed to evolve with the game. So I think it's definitely a coaching issue, but it's also a Dak Prescott issue. Throwing 3 interceptions, the coach isn't doing that. Struggling versus the really good teams that, that can be a product of the coach. If you beat up on the really bad teams, once you play a really talented, an elite team like the Niners, you get mollywopped. You get your rear end handed to you on a silver platter. What was it, 38-14? It wasn't even close. It was pathetic. So I think coaching has a lot to do with it, with how the offense looks. I still think Dak Prescott is, I'm not going to say top 10. I'm going to say a top 12 quarterback. I still think he's absolutely a top 12 quarterback. Issue with that is, top 10 talent, there's just so many good quarterbacks right now. There's a lot of good quarterback play, but then there's kind of like the whole other end of the spectrum. Like it's not like there's any in between. It's like it's either the quarterback's really good or really bad this year. That's the feeling I'm kind of getting. But Dak Prescott is one of those quarterbacks. He's one of those very few that are right in the middle, very mediocre. But Dak Prescott finishing as a bottom 10 QB is, I will say, I don't think that happens. I don't see it happening. He's very talented, very good quarterback. I don't see it. All right, you guys already know what I'm going to be saying about this one. I love this one. You have Joshua Kissinger with the 49ers go undefeated. Brock Purdy is him. So, saying any team will go undefeated, I'm going to say hot, piping hot. Because it's a long season. You play 17 games. It is 18 weeks. You do get one bye week. I think they should maybe think about adding another bye week because that's, it's rough on the players. But it's NFL. It is what it is. They're going to do what they want. But let's take a look at the schedule. The Browns. That is one they can easily slip up on. I think they can easily slip up versus the Browns. The Browns are a good football team. They have an elite defense. I want to see Brock Purdy and how he will do versus his Browns defense. I don't think he'll have an issue. You have so many playmakers. There's no reason why he can't. And on top of that, Purdy's just so smart. He's just so smart. He's such a darn good quarterback. And I saw someone say that if Mac Jones was in Brock Purdy's situation, that Mac Jones would be having Brock Purdy-like success. I don't think so. Brock Purdy is just better. Better accuracy. He does everything that Mac Jones does, but just better. It's just what Purdy is. Maybe he can't move like Mac Jones can, but everything Mac Jones does, Brock Purdy just does it flat out better. Just does it better. And, you could argue both teams are very different. Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. Fine. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the league. I understand why people think that, but how about we talk about his career at Iowa State? How about we talk about that? His career at Iowa State was pretty good. He had them ranked a couple times. He was playing really well at Iowa State. And what's the talent like at Iowa State? Yeah, exactly. How's their coaching? Yeah, exactly. But if you just look at the numbers, and even when you go back to Jimmy G, heck, Nick Mullins in this offense, Trey Lance, have any of them had any kind of success like this? Jimmy G, he's been to a Super Bowl. He played well. But Brock Purdy just does everything better. He's more accurate. He reads the field at a high level. And his arm has gotten much better, since college. I noticed that his arm is much stronger. It's much, much more powerful. And I believe he was working with someone on that. I don't remember who, but I know he was working with someone on, getting the arm strength out. And that's something he was working on throughout the offseason. And look at him. The offseason, as he was coming into the NFL. When he got drafted by the Niners, I'm like, oh, he's going to sit behind Jimmy G and Trey Lance. He's not going to get a chance. Ugh, sucks. But I'm like, hey, man, if he gets a chance, he is going to kill it. And boy, has he done that. He's the first quarterback that I really studied, so really excited how he's turning out. But the 49ers going undefeated, it's tough because, you play divisional opponents. Divisional opponents tend to play you really hard, especially if you're going undefeated. They have that extra blade out for you. They really want to come get you. the entire NFL. You're going to have that target on your back. Everyone's going to play as hard as they can against you. But the coaching that they have, they will not let that happen. Very good coaching. But you got the Browns, elite defense. Brock Purdy should be fine. You still have a very good offensive line, one of the best tackles in the league, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, if not the best, in Trent Williams. Playing the Vikings should win that one. That could be really sneaky. It could be, because Kirk Cousins is sneaky, and he is what the Vikings have. Oh, no, Justin Jefferson. That's right. That kind of completely says no. Kirk Cousins isn't going to have his guy, but Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. He really is. Just because JDW won't be in there doesn't mean Kirk Cousins is not a very good quarterback. He is a very darn good quarterback. He's in the top of passing yards. He has 13 passing touchdowns, but 4 interceptions. He has turned the ball over quite a bit, but he is on pace to have over 40 passing touchdowns. So Kirk Cousins, he's impressive, especially for what he's dealing with. That offensive line, the defense, he can't play defense. He can't, but, the turnovers do need to calm down. Offense line isn't good, but there's no running game, so it makes offense very one-dimensional. Take it for all you will. All right, Cincinnati Bengals, they should be able to beat the Bengals. They're too lopsided, but, hey, that could be a game you see Joey B and Jamar Chase in that offense just do something that we haven't seen and just be like, wow, yeah, those are the Bengals we know, but I don't see it. You look at the matchup. The 49ers have the matchup all the way. Jaguars should beat the Jaguars. But, the Jaguars are decent, but you're playing the Bucks. You should be able to beat the Bucks. Seahawks, that's a divisional matchup. That can be tough as you play them twice. You play the Eagles. The Niners are better than the Eagles. They should beat the Eagles. But, the Eagles are a good football team. Maybe they get it figured out more by then. You have the Cardinals, you play the Cardinals once again. And the Cardinals played them tough a little bit in that game, in the first game a couple of weeks ago. So I keep an eye on that one. The Ravens should beat the Ravens. Ravens are just losing teams they shouldn't. It's just confusing. Lamar Jackson's very good. And, they were fairly healthy versus the Steelers. So it's very questionable on why they couldn't get it done. The 49ers and the Commanders, they should beat the Commanders. Then you have the Rams. It's another divisional matchup, so you really never know. Divisional matchups just a little different. Your opponent knows you really well. They know you're the best out of anyone in the league, those 3 division rivals. And we'll see, because division rivals tend to play harder, and especially when you're going undefeated and you got that chance to go undefeated, it's very possible. I can see the Niners going undefeated. I'm not going to go piping hot, because I'll say you're crazy and out of your mind. So piping hot means, but I'm just going to say it's hot. Like, all right, it's a long season. They will have to, they have to slip up sometime. They probably will. Every team does it. But I'd say hot. I'm not going to go piping, because it's definitely possible. They are the most talented and the best team in the NFL. And I don't even think you can put another team at number 1 over the Niners. You really can't. The Eagles haven't been consistent. Their resume, yeah, they're 5-0, but they struggled a bit. Offense, defense, really struggling to get it together. Chiefs, you could argue they haven't been as impressive. Mahomes still trying to find that guy to step up for him. Outside of Travis Kelce. But the 49ers going undefeated is hot. Brock Purdy's him. We know that. I know that, brother. We know that. He is him. All right, Tones. Dak Prescott does indeed throw 10 interceptions, throws 16. So at first I was confused when he dropped his take. I'm like, is he going to throw 10 or is he going to 16? What do you mean? But he cleared it up, and I remembered that Dak Prescott did say he does not want to throw 10 interceptions or more. That he wasn't going to throw 10 interceptions, and he's already at 4, 5. So Dak Prescott has thrown 10 interceptions or more in 4 seasons out of his 7-year career so far. That's more than half. Probably. He's probably going to throw over 10. 16 would be the most he's ever thrown. But don't forget, last year, he threw all those interceptions, but then he missed like 4 or 5 games. Like, he missed quite a few games, and he still threw 15. 4 so far this year. 3 versus the Niners. I don't think let's look at the schedule quick. Let's see the strength of schedule. All right, so strength of schedule, you have the Chargers, Rams, Eagles, Giants, Panthers, Commanders, Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders. So there's not really that many impressive defenses there. The Rams, middle of the road. Chargers, that's not a very good defense. They can make some plays, but it's not really a really good defense. The Eagles is a tough defense. They play them twice. It can be tough. We'll see. You got the Giants. The way the Giants play defense, the way the Cowboys play offense, that's a really tough matchup for the Giants defense. Panthers defense, they get pressure on the quarterback. That's about it. Commanders, they just allowed 40 points to the Bears, and they play the Commanders twice. Dolphins have not had a very good defense. Seahawks, it's hit or miss. It seems like it's hit or miss with their defense, but it seems like they're starting to gel together. Seahawks defense is decent. Lions defense is decent. And you have the Bills, who is probably one of the better defenses in the league when fully healthy. So, throwing 16, I'm going to go hot. Throwing 10, I'm going to go warm. I think it's very possible, very likely, but 16, I'm going hot. All right, last but not least, KeyInDaBuilding coming with some heat. Cousins gets traded to Atlanta Falcons. That's all these hot takes were great tonight. All of them were great. But Cousins gets traded to the Atlanta Falcons. So I have said myself, I think the Falcons are a quarterback away and maybe a little more. I think they're mainly a quarterback away. Now their tackle situation is not good. They've struggled. Caleb McGarry has struggled a little bit. He has not been great. Their tackle situation in general has not been great. The offensive line's inconsistent. And that's kind of the same situation with their defense. But they have weapons. The defense can make plays. They have a very good defensive line. The biggest question to ask yourself is, how much does Atlanta give up for him? Now, let's look at the past here. What older quarterbacks, there's been a couple older quarterbacks that has really gotten a lot of compensation for their team. Aaron Rodgers got a first-round pick. Russell Wilson got quite a few first-round picks. Matthew Stafford got 2 first-round picks, I believe. So it's not out of the ordinary to get at least a first-round pick for a very good quarterback. And Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. He is playing like one of the better ones in the league right now. I don't remember if he is leading the league in passing yards, but if not, he's right there, right up there. But let's look at his stats. 13 passing touchdowns with 4 interceptions. 101.7 passer rating. 67.2 completion percentage. And almost 1,500 passing yards. It's 2 yards shy of 1,500 passing yards. Kirk Cousins is a damn good quarterback. And he's had Justin Jefferson, which has absolutely helped. Now he has Jordan Addison, but for the longest time, he really had Justin Jefferson. He did have Thielen for a little while, but Thielen was kind of in his twilight. He's, on and off the field with injuries. Never really had that offensive line. Although, it was better last year. This year, it's decent. But he has committed quite a few turnovers this year so far. He's been responsible for quite a few. But he's been such a good quarterback, and he brings an experience to the Falcons that they need so bad. You have some really nice weapons: Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Matt Collins. Like I said, the offensive line is enough. Running backs, you have Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and we saw what happened when Kirk Cousins. Even now he has no running backs. We saw what happened, how good Kirk Cousins was when he had a run game. He has a decent defense in Atlanta. At first, when I was redoing this, going through the hot take and giving my opinion, I thought I read Commanders at first. I'm like, yeah, no, he's not going to the Commanders. He doesn't want to get hit 30 times a game, and I think the Commanders are set on Sam Howell. But to give up a first-round pick for a 35-year-old quarterback is not... It's not really rare now, because we've seen many trades happen over the time now. Matthew Stafford, Rodgers, Wilson. It's not really rare. And the Vikings are in a sell now mode. So if they get a first-round pick out of them, I would say do it, because the rest of our team, they just can't win. They don't have a very good defense. They don't have a good running game. Now Justin Jefferson is hurt. Why not go to a team that has some nice weapons? They have they have good coaching. They have a really good run game, so you don't have to throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. I'm just going hot because I want to go warm and say it's likely, but considering if Kay would have just said Cousins gets traded, I would say warm. It's more likely, but when you include a specific trade destination, I think it's a little less likely. It's a lot less. It's a lot more of a hot take, but I'm gonna go hot. I think the chance is really. I'm gonna go warm. The chance is really there for him to be traded. The Vikings are in self-destruct. They need to sell at the trade deadline, get as many picks as they can, get young players, get ready for the future. In Atlanta, they're a QB away. I truly think so. And Kirk Cousins fits that system well. You want to run the ball, but you also want a quarterback that can make those big-time throws when you need them, and Kirk Cousins can absolutely do that. I'm going to go warm. I think the chance is really there, but it's still a bit unlikely. And I'm surprised I'm doing that for such a specific, Cousins gets traded, that's warm. Absolutely. But I'm really banking on the Vikings selling here. So I'm going to go warm with this one. I say the Minnesota Vikings do trade away Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons. The chances there, the Falcons are looking for that quarterback. Desmond Ridder is not it. He has not played well. He's not the answer. He's still young, but he has not been very good at all. But that's all I got for you guys today. And thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where your fans welcome. If you enjoyed this episode of Hot Take Tuesday, episode 22 of season 2 is officially concluding. Let me know what you guys think. Comments, questions, concerns. Rate these hot takes on your, give me your personal takes, your personal rates for these hot takes and your personal opinion. I like to hear them. But that's all I got for you guys today. This is a JDW Sports Talk Show. I am signing off.